This week's episode of the Deck Chair and Yumz podcast is brought to you by our Christmas party. Saturday the 9th of December, we are in Mandela Hall. We will have special guests, we'll have party games, we'll have a lot of drink. We may even have some music. But yeah, tickets are available. They're flying out. Thank you everybody who's bought tickets so far. Yeah, go and get them. You can get them on Eventbrite. And that's about it. Nev, play the fucking intro.
Yeah, what's up, motherfuckers?
Hello and welcome to the Deck Chair and Yumz podcast. We are back with another episode. This week, as you know, Mr. Bartlett is in Australia. But we are very delighted. We have another Lurganite with us today. Please, I'm so excited to have you here. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Andy McGibbon from the Bonnevilles has joined us. Andy, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Connor. Delighted to be here.
This is a treat for me. I had to even fanboy and put on a fucking Bonnevilles t-shirt and everything. And it's so cringy to be sitting beside you wearing a Bonnevilles t-shirt, but I don't care. So, and then you see how dapper Andy comes along then with your with a man. Fentona has never seen a hat like that, and I don't know if Fentona has ever seen a cravat like that.
Yeah. So, well, you have to make an effort. It is a Tuesday.
So you're very welcome.
Thanks very much.
We obviously know you from the mighty Bonnevilles, which is yourself and Chris. We also a lot in common in being a fellow podcast host.
Ex-podcast host.
We'll come to that. We'll come back to that. A podcast host, yes, and also a solo album out recently last year, and another one. I do believe I heard you say another one on the way.
On the way, yeah.
So a very busy man, very prolific, and you're loving it.
Oh, aye. Class. What else is there to do, like?
And Mickey always says that, you know, he's in the top three of famous people from Lurgan, but I would put you in the top three and maybe boot Mickey out or Collie Duffy, as Mickey says.
The problem is that anytime there's a top famous people from Lurgan, I am never in it. I am a little bit wounded by that, but there's nothing more.
Maybe it's top five. Maybe
there's top.
Always top
I would
three.
definitely put Mickey in the top one for me now. But yeah.
Well, I'll argue with that. Neil Lennon, we'll go past that.
Neil Lennon, right enough. Maybe the manager.
He always says the trifecta: him, Neil Lennon, and Collie Duffy.
Yeah.
And he never puts them in order, so we're never going to say that.
Yeah.
So yes, the Bonnevilles. What year did you start?
We don't know, really. The first album was 2009, but we'd been going for a couple of years before that.
Right, okay.
So, yeah.
And the first album was...
Good Suits and Fighting Boots.
Good Suits and Fighting Boots, which is a...
It was good. We did, back in the day, because where we are, a two-piece, you know, we kind of knew that we were never going to get signed to a label at that point anyway. Mm-hmm. So I decided that what we'll do is we'll make our own label. So I started a label, started releasing other bands' music first, and then learnt a lot, and then we recorded the first album ourselves in the basement of a Masonic lodge in Banbridge.
Lovely.
And I tell you what, ever since then, I've always, because before going into the Masonic lodge, you all have this notion of them being some sort of nefarious secret society that run the world. If they are the most lackadaisical secret society, they give these two idiots the keys. You know what I mean?
We have a Masonic lodge in Oma as well, and I spoke to somebody who frequents it and is a member, and he was like, if people actually knew what we do, like
they're just going to get fucked up.
They're just going to get drunk. So that was the first album, and I mean. Way you yourself described as garage punk blues, which is a whole different genre on its own.
But that was a deliberate thing as well, because you know we would have, if we were going to, because I've been in a few bands before, so you knew that you're going to get other people are going to describe you,
right?
And we were kind of going, why don't we describe ourselves?
Genius, yeah.
And then that's that done.
Right.
So I came up with that phrase, garage punk blues was a thing and garage rock was a thing, so I slammed the two of them together. And I claim that as the first person to ever do it. But now other people are doing it too, so it's...
Oh, is that right? Have you,
I've seen
a genuine genre you've created of music?
Well, I was...
I
used the words. I was the first person to put those words in a sentence, I suppose, beside each other. But, Yeah, it was good.
So I mean, my discovery of yourselves was through Mr. Bartlett, and so I didn't. The first thing I heard of you was Arrow Pierce My Heart, which is album 3.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say it, like, one of my favorite albums
Thank you.
of all time.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's good.
I fucking love every track on it, and it was quite refreshing for me to hear it because I wasn't expecting the type of music you do is exactly the type of music I love in general, and because I had been a fan of, we don't mention Black Keys, but another two-piece band that does
Quite all right. I wish I had their money.
But I've been into that sort of stuff, and then when I heard this, I was like, "What the fuck is this? This is unbelievable!" Because there is the sound you create for a two-piece is phenomenal. Now, I know in a studio, obviously, you could give us more detail on that. You could be layering things, but even live, to replicate that live it's not an easy thing. Is that something you purposely have tried to achieve, or did it just come by chance?
No, it was. I had to be convinced into the two-piece thing, because I was playing with another guy, a big guy called Tommy Malloy, before. This is early 2000s, I guess, and he wanted to do a two-piece thing, and I wasn't sure because I like the bass. I like that. I like the sound. I love the feeling of it, But anyway, so we kind of worked through, and he kind of figured it out. But the key for me came through the amps. Whenever I ended up able to do the live thing in the studio, you can do anything.
Yeah, of course.
You can go in and you can make a wee 10-watt practice amp sound like a Marshall. You can do anything you want in the studio. But live for me was the key because I knew that. Well, first of all, I wanted to be a good live band. I wanted us to be a good live band. But I knew that live was how we were going to get our traction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of the music that we were playing, it was so niche, it was so small. We didn't have a record label. We weren't involved in the industry in any way. So the only way we were going to get any momentum was by going out and being road dogs. So it had to work live. So I went through various amps, and I ended up an old show band guy called Winston in Lurgan. He's a bass player, and he says, "Listen, I've got this amp. He actually wanted to show me this bass. He had this beautiful through neck custom bass from the 1970s, whatever." And he was well retired when he was just showing his key to collection, and he was showing his stuff off, and I was delighted to see it. But he brought this bass down, and I had this wee 10-watt bass practice amp. I said, plug it. I said, fucking shit, I'm fucking plugging it in that. That's shit. He said, do you have a cab? And there was a nice cabinet sitting, and he says, I have an amp, I'll go and get it. And he came back with a Kelly amp that I still have today.
Right.
And it's an old 60s English thing based on a Selmer treble and bass. This is getting a bit wonky, but it had been heavily modified over the years, and you could use it as a guitar amp or a bass amp. That was what it was back in the 60s. So there was 2 channels, and a guitar player and a bass player would plug into it. So, but it just had like volume, treble, bass. That was the 3 controls on
basically,
2. Yeah, real basic. But I loved the sound of it. I was like, Jesus, fucking this thing's gorgeous. And it was all valve, and it was just beautiful. And I just, right up my boulevard. And so I says, where did you... And the amp itself was in a wee rickety wooden box that had just been pinned together. It was a piece of shit. And this beautiful piece of art was inside it, as far as I was concerned. And he says, what are you doing with the amp? He says, I'll just throw it back up into the attic. I went, would you ever sell it? He had no regard for it at all. He says, I'll sell it, do you want? I remember, I'll never forget him. He said, you young fellas wouldn't be into that sort of stuff these days. All valve.
Right, okay, yeah.
No, it was the era of the change from valve and analog to digital.
Yeah.
It had come and gone, and it was now moving back into people coming through where they want the valve amps again. Yep. And I went, oh, fucking right, surely. And he says, what? I said, what do you want for it? I'll never forget. He said, would you give me 50 quid?
Oh, Jesus.
I says, I'll give you 50 quid. Snap your arm, I have to give you 50. I said, I told him, I says, listen, to be honest with you, if I give you 50 quid, I'm robbing you.
Yeah.
He says, will you give it a good home? I says, Winston, I think this is my amp. I think I've paid over here. And he went, okay. He said, 50 quid. And that was it.
Wow.
So I set it up, got it serviced, and I've been playing it ever since.
No way. I never had a problem with it ever since.
One time it blew up.
Right.
It wasn't a Ryanair bitch wouldn't let me take it on as hand luggage.
No way.
And we were going on tour in Portugal, so we had to put it into the hold. And we plugged it into the first gig of the tour, and it burst into flames. And then it took me about 3 years to get it fixed after that.
Right.
And then I was scrambling for a long time, and but yeah,
because it is almost, and now it makes more sense as to why it is that way. It is almost a signature sound that you would have live, like coming through.
Yeah.
You know, you know it's you. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
But did you find a pressure then? Because surely, as the pressure of the pressure's on you. I know, no disrespect to Chris. Chris, you know I love you, but the pressure's on you then, because to provide the melody in always singing and guitar.
Oh, right, yeah,
You know, it's, you don't have that bass to fall back on. You've nobody there to sort of to fill in the sort of the gaps as such.
It's not a problem. It's just something that's just, I guess it's just.
Oh no, it's not, because I've watched it live and it depresses me when I watch it. I'm like, how is he doing that? I don't even know what he's doing.
Well, you develop your technique.
Yeah,
you just,
absolutely.
I never started out that way, but you do it for long enough, you fill in the gaps. And big 4x12 amp with that lovely head on it, and have a nice PV valve, classic 2x12, and play the two of them together, and
you're flying.
it's a big sound.
Yeah. And because that's the thing. So I've seen you multiple times live, and the sound is amazing. And like some of these venues are quite small venues, that don't have a decent PA system, don't have a decent rig, and you're still sounding great. So that's a credit to yourselves. But so you have, would I be right in saying you've been under the radar, and like you see it climbing a wee bit? Would it be right in saying that in the last couple of years?
At the minute,
you see, because more recently you were featured in Blue Lights, I think, the TV show, and then Chris Spaw, a friend of mine, you were in a movie then as well. You're soundtracking a movie,
Yep.
so there's starting to be bits and pieces.
There is, but there's not enough really. We're still sort of at the level, and you know what we are. We have no industry representation. There's nothing there for us in the industry. Now, and that really confuses me, because we don't have any management or anything. We have a record label in LA, and they're fantastic. But beyond that, we don't have anything. And I don't know how we would go about to get a manager, or if at this point a manager would be interested in us, because, and it does bewilder me, because one of the things, you know our music as well as anyone. One of the things that that influences me is TV and movie and theme tunes. Even my solo album, Northern Gothic.
I was just going to say
it's a soundtrack.
I was going to say it's basically a soundtrack.
It's basically a soundtrack.
Yeah.
And if
a beautiful soundtrack, but it's yeah, absolutely.
Well, if you go through the Bonnevilles catalogue, that's a theme tune, or that's a bit in the movie, that's a bit in the game, that's a bit. It's all, and it's not by accident.
Yeah, well, it was Chris Ball said to me. He said we were watching news in Mandela Hall one time, and he went, he says the word he used, he went, some of the songs are so cinematic.
Yeah,
and that's the way he put it. He was like, it's just, you could, and he had a vision where he could see,
Yeah.
But I mean, that's obviously you must be delighted to hear that sort of stuff,
really,
because if that's what you're aiming for and people are
Yeah,
hearing it.
yeah.
But then that's the reason why I sort of sent you the message this weekend, because I'd seen your video. Got up on I don't even see it on Facebook, because I don't have Facebook anymore. But I had seen it, and it was a discussion you were having basically with your followers and stuff about the kind of, I call it the algorithm mafia. You know, the people that hold you to ransom if you behave. Ultimately. And well, I'll let you explain the background of where the video came from this weekend and what you were talking about.
Well, excuse me. Well, basically, the Bonnevilles have got 10,000 followers on Facebook, and when we put up a post, we get 2 likes and 50 people see it.
Yeah.
So there's clearly the algorithmic mafia are doing their work. And now the problem, the real problem is, not only do you not have access to them, they don't have access to you. So we have people commenting underneath that post, which was bizarre, was really, really fucking weird. We put up a post sharing music. Like we've got, I'm going to be releasing a single off of Northern Gothic 2
Oh, right, okay.
in the coming, week, I would say.
Okay.
And I put that up. Crickets, 14 likes. Seriously, nothing. Two people going, wow, this is great, can't wait. That's 10,000 followers.
10,000, yeah. There's something not right there. Like.
I put up a post for my friend Declan Feenan from Newry. He lives over in London. He's a writer and an author and a player and a super multi-talented, amazing guy. I've been playing music with Declan all my life. He has a little band called Spy from Moscow that he's been running. This is epic music, gorgeous, beautiful music. Released a new single last week. I said, great, happy to share it. Threw it up onto the Bonnevilles Facebook page. 2 likes.
Man.
2 likes.
Out of 10,000. Like, it's not right. Like,
and then when you click the insights, there's no insights to give. It goes no insights to give. That means it's been so repressed.
Yeah.
There's nothing worth measuring.
Yeah. So, I mean, we people listen to this podcast, especially the ones who listen to the Just Rabbit and On, will know we kind of had a similar thing during lockdown, especially, where YouTube were taking us off. We're basically on our final strike with YouTube.
Really?
Yeah. And it was just because we weren't doing anything that was, if you want to class as being controversial at the time. We genuinely were just taking the piss out of the guidelines. Yeah. Of the pandemic, especially the eat out to help out and wear a mask sitting down or stand up and not sitting down, all that stupidly. And then they took us off and warned us, you're not allowed to speak again. If you do, and the final time, you're banned for life, and that'll be us gone off YouTube. We won't have.
Wow.
That's where our platform for our videos.
Obviously, yeah.
So that was happening, and then we noticed that Mickey was getting, because the term is shadow ban.
Shadow ban, yeah.
So the term is shadow ban, and that's what was happening, Mickey. That it didn't really apply to me because I was like low level of thing, but Mickey was nearly 20,000 followers or whatever, and you had to get to the B of Bartlett when you're typing his name for him to come up.
Get out, really?
Mm-hmm. So you get the MICKY because Mickey does it differently when he's not EY, so it's Y, and then you had to get to the B before he even appeared.
Even if you've typed his name in before, which the computer will remember that you've done, that will auto fill that for you.
It didn't matter.
Wow.
And I thought, I thought, right, well, I'm testing this because somebody said it to us and said, it's very hard to find Mickey on Instagram. I said, no. So I tried to see him. I was like, my God, I follow him. I'm with him and it doesn't come up as an option. So something was going on. I don't know what was causing that. I don't know what it is, but it made us sort of really sit back and go, there's powerful entities going on here, but we don't really understand.
The thing that I think it is, I mean, obviously you were touching on, you were tackling the establishment and the messaging that they were putting out. So, and they're very sensitive, as you know, so they don't like that. Yeah. But with I would say with Mickey and yourself, with regards to your output, your comedy output, and with us in the band, they know that you're trying to sell something, you're trying to earn a living, right? Yeah. So I would say it's maybe coming from a more economic position for them. Now, I don't understand the economics and how it works because people are leaving that platform in droves. And I don't know if I can say this on the podcast, but if COVID had done its business, all the old people would have died and Facebook would have gone with them.
Would have went with them as well,
Do you know what I mean?
But there is something about that, but there is definitely numbers leaving.
Oh, without a doubt.
Especially Facebook. I just said it at the start. I haven't been on Facebook now for nearly 4 years. And so there are changes and shifts. And I would imagine you're a bit like myself. It's hard. It's hard to take on a new trend and go into a new. So, like, for instance, for me, for the comedy, people are like, you need to be on TikTok. And I go, I don't want TikTok. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to see it. And they're like, well, you don't have to see it. You just need to be on it. Yeah. And so I went to my daughter and I was like, set me up a page on TikTok. Yeah. I don't want to see it. I don't want to have anything to do with it, but I'll send you the clips that I want put up. And you know what? It fucking is working.
It does work, but it's a problem as well. If you turn around, I know a musician who we have a TikTok account as well. We don't do anything with it, but I tried it for a while. But it's just too stupid. And if you put
that's why you need to get your daughter to do it. Pass it on.
I have a musician friend, and he put up on TikTok, he's going to release some music and crickets, whatever. And then he puts up some little shared video of a frog with a crown on it or something. And 10 million views. You know,
No, you're up against it.
it's up against. But you see the thing with Facebook, and this is where it's the thing that pisses you off. It's the thing that got me angry. Was Facebook maneuvered itself into the position that it was the only game in town. You had to be on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then they took that, and instead of proceeding with a modicum of goodwill, they just acted like complete bastards, and they screwed everybody into the ground. So they start to change. So I noticed from years ago, you would get these trends, these waves of what posts you put up get amplified, and then you start to see that there wouldn't be. You would go, what's going on? And then you would find out, oh, they're going for video. You have to do videos. If you put videos on, they'll get. So you go, okay. So I started it when we were going on tour. I would do a little when we're in the venue waiting for sound check. I'd do a wee walk around to the venue with a phone, stick it up, and sure enough, and they flew. They were great. But then they start to change that too. So then they change it to something else, and then they change it to something. Then you go like, I don't work for you.
Yeah, that is the problem. Yeah,
I don't work. Why am I fucking being run around the mill here? I just want. And then they say, there's a particular. Now the thing is, they've got a particular type of post that they want. If it's not interesting, they're not going to amplify it on your platform, on their platform. I go, but we've got 10,000 fans want to see what we have to say.
Why are they the arbiter of what's
Why are you
yeah.
And they go, well, they're a private business. You say, they are a private business. They can do whatever they like. But we're content providers and we're providing it for free.
Yeah.
So do we not get a little
absolutely
bit of rights?
It should be it should be a platform as opposed to being a publisher.
Well, exactly. No, that's right there.
Yeah,
that is
it's a
issue,
platform. That's what it should be, and that's the problem. Where I mean, you can see that it on Twitter and all as well too. But so then this is where the fucking crux of it all comes to. So, in one hand, you're supposed to go with the social media, go with the technology, follow the flow of it, and then you do it, and then the fuckers, you know what I mean? And they ban you. Yeah. Not ban you, but you know you definitely are being choked in that sense.
Well, you do.
The reach isn't going as far as it should go. 2 likes out of 10,000 is not normal.
No.
You know, 200 maybe, yeah. But 2 out of 10,000 is not the norm. So do you have a strategy, or like yourself and Chris, do you think, right, this is what we need to do to change that? Or is it a case of you just have to fucking get the head down and just keep doing what you're doing? Or
no, we're done. We're out. Chris hasn't been on Facebook in months. I would sort of, if you look back at the feed, it would be, there would be weeks in between. You can literally see the despondency.
Yeah,
on our feed. You know, you get a wee rush of posts and then you get them for ages and stuff like that. No, we're out. All we're doing with Facebook now is trying to mine it for our followers to get them over to another place. Here's a little statistic. So what we're doing is, we've got an email list. We have an email list. We've maintained an email list for years. Now, we should have been doing it more. We've got 2,500 people on it. We should have been a sign-up sheet on the merch stand at every show and all the rest of it. But nonetheless, we've got and we get good, and you get the, you know, how many people opens it and stuff like that. Yeah. When we don't spam people, it's on the front page of our website, thebonnevilles.co.uk. And we're going to push that. That's going to be our main thing.
Because, you know, I'm in the comedy world, Daniel Kitson does that. He's a guy who was he was in Phoenix Nights with Peter Kay, but he's probably known as one of the best comedians out there.
Yeah.
But he keeps it totally to him. You know, it's his own thing. So people don't. If you don't know comedy, you don't know who he is.
Oh, really?
But he sells it everywhere he goes. But it's all email based. Yeah. He's went old school. He's given them you know, he's really creating like creating what social media should have been. Yeah. Which was a way of sharing information and not having to hear all the shitty comments back or lack of them. You could see that it was having the effect because it was selling out the gig.
Well, it's a very simple. If you think about the concept of it, of social media, I don't want to be a part of social. I don't have a personal Facebook page or personal Instagram account. I don't our personal Twitter account. Everything all those accounts I have are all for promoting music. Mm-hmm. So I don't want those. The only personal social media account I ever had, and this is going to age me badly, was MySpace.
Fuck you.
Because I was involved. I wanted music because I was a music consumer as well, and it was music based, and so that
was very music heavy, wasn't it? At the time, it was kind of like a SoundCloud, almost nearly an early version of it, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was kind of, and the closest thing to it is again another thing that we've got is a band camp.
Yes,
band camp page. So we maintain it as well. And again, if anybody wants to go and try it, it's really good. It's just music. Now there's a problem with it now too. Spotify bought it.
No way.
Yeah, they bought it last year.
Well, I was just going to say that I begrudgingly, but I do it, and there's no point lying about it. I have Spotify, and I use Spotify. But I also know of other people, not just yourselves, but other artists as well, who like there's no money.
But see, this is the problem, Connor, and this is exactly the issue. So you're getting killed on the streaming. So you get 0.004 cents for a stream. So
is that what it is?
Yeah. So
0.004.
So $4,000 you get for 1 million streams. Jeez. That's the pay from Spotify. Now we use Tidal out of it, but they're not. They're better, but it's still the same bullshit. But so you're getting killed there. You're getting killed in the venues. The fees are down. The splits, the venues are getting killed as well. So they're now starting to look into getting shares of merch and putting the price of your merch up and all this sort of stuff. And then you go onto your social media account, and if you want the link to anything, if you want a link to your shop to go, we've got a new album, we've got a new T-shirt, we're going on tour, go and buy a ticket, you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
You've got a link to outside that platform, it's dead. It's over. It's literally not worth. It's not worth your while. We put up a link to our Bandcamp page. You literally may as well not bother.
I remember in the comedy club in Daly's, changing from tickets on sale now to get your admission slips here, because we noticed the keywords.
That's pathetic.
They were looking for keywords.
That
they were looking
is
for
really
tickets.
bad.
They were looking for the phrase. So, and the reason I know it's still happening is on Facebook we have the comedy club page there, and if we put up, and this is another thing, this is a wider discussion about Facebook or Meta or whatever the fuck they're called. They, as soon as we say a gig is sold out, the bots come in. The bots start appearing underneath.
We've got tickets for sale.
Tickets for sale.
Yeah.
So there's software or bots out there waiting for the phrase sold out to be put up, and then they come in underneath.
So how come?
I don't know how they're doing it.
How come Facebook can strangle a post, a legitimate post,
but can't do anything about
telling
the bots?
people information that they want to know, that they have said, I click follow, I want to know what these guys are doing. Yeah,
absolutely. You're there as a fan, yeah.
You're not spamming them. They've chosen. And they can kill that dead. Yeah. They can kill it dead before it even gets posted. That video you were talking about, I tried to put it up on Facebook 3 times.
No way.
Wouldn't finish. I linked it. I uploaded it to YouTube, and then linked it, put the link on, but then it's out, so it's dead in the water anyway. So their algorithm or whatever it is so sophisticated now that it must have scanned the thing and the video.
It does absolutely in advance, yeah.
And it must go. No, this is slagging off Facebook.
Well, I mean, not only that's what happened to us with our videos. I mean, it wasn't a guy sitting watching our episode.
No,
it was a piece of software that heard us talking about keywords and phrases that we shouldn't be talking about, and then it's reviewed, and then we get a message. So everything you put out there is being read by a system of some sort, which is
social media though. It sounds fluffy.
Sounds lovely, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's nice to be social.
I'm sure we all love the media, so two things go well together. So that's why I sent you a message, and I said, listen, obviously we were gonna wait until the deck chair comes back later on this week, but I thought there's a chance here to get this talked about, because I know we have a lot of people listening that are also in the field of performance, or whether it's music or comedy or acting or whatever, and the same thing's going to apply to them. The same thing's going to happen.
Businesses, small businesses,
exactly.
I know people the same. But that's what we are. We're a small business.
Yeah, ultimately.
And we happen to make music. You make the funny, and other people make fucking garden ornaments. It's the same thing.
Same thing, yeah, absolutely. But then, do you think then, this is what me and Maggie talked about before, is it because, like we talked about the podcast, you're an ex-podcast host, you said, but you would have been like ourselves, you would have tickled the establishment.
Yeah.
You would have.
Well, that was, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. But like I do have this belief that once you do that, whether it's us on the podcast or you and your podcast, whatever, once you challenge the status quo, you're on a list. I don't mean a physical list or whatever, but you're definitely into that shadow ban category.
Yeah.
Just by doing that, and I don't know how to get out of that.
Well,
I don't know how to get away from the shadow ban.
I
for
got
us.
shadow banned. I got banned on Twitter. My podcast Twitter account.
Right.
I couldn't log in. Just one day I went and I couldn't log in.
And they didn't send you a message to say...
No messages. I sent them messages, never even replied, nothing.
Wow.
So I had to start up, and it was because I made a joke about a Tory. And so I started up a new account, which surprised me. I thought they were going to stop me from doing that. And I'm not that controversial. You know what I mean? But I do. My big thing was foreign policy, foreign wars and things like that. And we know what the establishment is doing around the world.
The fucking military-industrial complex.
The military
we know all about
complex
it.
Stuff. That was my big thing. So, my audience wasn't that massive. But it shows you how sensitive I think these people are, that they won't even allow, and then they won't then allow you to get. So I had a bigger audience with that first Twitter account, obviously, and then when I started the new one,
so you never got the old one back?
No,
ever?
No, it's dead. It's gone.
And what physically, like when we try to log in, it just says it's not there or not accepted, or
nothing happened.
Wow.
It just did it say it didn't recognize password or something like that?
Right.
It wasn't that. It wasn't that. I don't know. I can't remember right now.
That is power that we like. That's untold power.
Yeah.
Power we don't know is happening, but it's happening.
Yeah.
And that's the scariest type of power when you don't know they have it.
I think. I mean, I'm not paranoid about these things. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't give. If they want to do that, that's whatever. Fuck off. I don't care. I mean. I put my videos on YouTube. I don't monetize them or anything. I just put that information out there, and and I'm not. It's not that I don't give opinion. I would have presented proper journalism and went, "What do you think of this?" That would have been these guys went to Ukraine. These guys are in Taiwan. These guys are in Venezuela. Listen to what they're saying, and let's. The thing with going off track a wee bit, but the thing you'll find with the establishment narratives that sort of it's always a red flag for me. Mm-hmm. Was where they start the timeline.
Yeah,
they never start the timeline at the fucking beginning of the thing. They start the invasion of Ukraine from last March. You go, it didn't. That's not. It goes back fucking years.
2014, if you want to go back to the fucking
exactly.
But here's the thing. I always say, and me and Mike always talk about this. The public then kind of forget about that too.
Yeah.
Because this is what they've been fed, so then they forget that there has been 9 years of trouble before that.
Yeah.
And it's all forgotten about, and then all of a sudden it started the day after COVID ended, which is very strange, very coincidental.
Yeah.
No, we can't say that. Sorry, YouTube, not saying anything.
No.
There'll be a meeting after this.
No, yes, you're 100%. But that's the thing with the general public. I mean, I've always been interested in politics and. As an observer and as a human being, obviously I care about these things, but people don't have time to go and find out who Poroshenko was and why the coup happened in 2014 and what the Minsk Treaty. People haven't a notion that, and they're out there busy living their lives. They got young kids, they got jobs and all, so they're literally being run ragged.
And on top of that, they have this trust.
They
have this trust where. Well, this is where we get our information.
Yeah.
So once I am able to absorb that, once I'm able to ingest it and then spout it out everywhere, I'm good.
But don't you find that trust is completely dissolved?
Oh, it's mighty. I love it. This last 3 years, definitely. It's great because I don't think they're ever going to come back from it.
I mean, you know my politics very well. I'm very much a person of the left, socialist and all that. But whenever I listen to people, especially in establishment media and establishment figures, complaining about the rise of the far right. Right now, I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the rise of the far right or what they. But then you could talk about who they apply that phrase to.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I'm also. And why do you think people might be rejecting the politics of the centre and of the establishment? Is there anything you can put your finger on as to why this might be happening right now? And there's never that self-reflection.
No, never.
There's never that. They never start the timeline at the beginning of the bloody issue. I mean, if you wanted to go into Ukraine, then you could go right back to
further,
bloody
yeah,
Bolsheviks.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, if you wanted to do that, but at least go back to 2008.
Yeah, take it a century at least.
And then, for me, the big thing, this eternal march to war, just feeding the military-industrial complex, which is so transparently corrupt and evil. It's so bad, you don't even need to understand politics to have a grasp of how desperate the situation is. And the two things that line up for me that I think maybe is the Iraq War and now the Ukraine, and now they're banging the drum for Taiwan and China. And they're doing that, and there's all this shit going on in Africa as well. But just focusing on Ukraine and Iraq, the same people that fucked up everything.
Absolutely, yeah.
Got recycled through the establishment and are banging the drum of war for Ukraine.
Yeah.
This is not about, I'm not saying Vladimir Putin's good, Vladimir Putin's bad, Ukraine's right, Ukraine's wrong. I'm not saying I'm not passing any judgment.
War is war, no matter who's fucking,
These people are evil monsters. They're serving the establishment, they're not serving the people.
No.
And
have we ever been served? Genuinely, you know,
so.
you think of our parents and our grandparents. I don't think it's ever been run by we the people.
Well, I had a conversation with my father the other day, and he was talking to his brother Pat, and I said something, and I said this to him, and he went, Pat said exactly that. I said, do you know you lived in the best of times? He came up through the 60s, because everything that go UK, but go Europe, everything was built in the 60s. All the infrastructure, the roads, the rail network, the hospital systems, everything. I mean, no, the NHS come from the post-war, but it really ramped up in the 60s. And ever since then, it's been in decline.
Yeah, that would have been the peak when all that new build everywhere and all the new... But everything from health to industry. You look at Oma's a good example. Oma used to have loads of factories in it. You know, and every town in North could be done the same. Every town in England would be the same. You know, there was a decimation then of income and economics then, and it became not desolate, but it just became that, you know, the separation of wealth then became more apparent.
Yeah.
Because at least when there was factories here and there were factory workers, they still worked hard enough to be able to get themselves a house, and they were able to afford to buy a house if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But that's no chance now. There's nobody working in the factory now who could buy a house. There's not a fucking mission.
Not a hope.
And, you know, but even the limited factories that are there, but you're then having to, then the population has to adapt. And then the social housing has not been built. Yeah. So then you've got these fucking two factions that are going to come to head at some point, and it's going to come very soon. Yeah. You can see already there's a severe lack of, we're going to say political leadership. Have we ever had political leadership? We don't even have fucking politicians. They're my main leadership.
Did you see Jeffrey Donaldson and Jimmy Bryson are falling out with each other?
What is going on there? What the fuck is going on there? Are they in a relationship? Like, what is
not
going
anymore.
on?
They had a very public divorce yesterday.
I seen this. No, I was listening about it this morning. I was like, what? And number one, what the fuck are we listening to Jimmy Bryson about for anything?
This is the eternal question. No one can understand that. But what I
don't understand is why. So here's the thing: if you took it to the other side and you went to Sinn Féin, there is nobody on that side who will be allowed to speak out as much as Jimmy Bryson has done against any party. You know what I mean? There's nobody that will be because Jimmy Bryson obviously is a DUP supporter or whatever, but nobody from Sinn Féin or SDLP would be allowed to be as vocal as that and cause as much trouble.
Well, they wouldn't be given the platform.
That's what I mean, the platform. I say they wouldn't be allowed to. They wouldn't be given that.
Yeah.
So, what? I don't know. The tinfoil hat me is always thinking: is he playing a part? Does he that he doesn't know he's been used for? Is he shipping us closely towards the ultimate end goal?
The thing with loyalism is loyalism, same as modern Irish republicanism too, but loyalism in particular was always heavily infiltrated by the British.
Yeah.
You know, I remember Johnny Adair, reading an interview with him, and he said something like, of the 200 UDA members in North Belfast, 98 of them work for MI5.
and the West was probably the same, let's be honest.
You know, it was an insane amount of, you know, and but I mean, Jamie Bryson is so clownish. He's actually He's actually a great example of how desperate loyalism is, and that's a problem for us all, whether you're a loyalist or not.
Absolutely. I mean, no matter what happens in the future, I mean, realistically, there's what, 1 million people, or just under 1 million people, who would associate themselves with being British.
Yeah.
And you know, what the fuck? You're not going to just forget about them. You know what I mean?
No,
but what I do think is, I don't think the likes of Bryson and that are helping relationships in any way.
But that's not their job.
But that's why I think their job is to sour these things, to sort of try.
They're incapable. They've got no solutions. But this is the problem with unionism and loyalism at the minute, as I can see. Well, I'm sure this is no great fucking insight, but the solutions have to come from within. Yeah. Unionism and loyalism. You can't turn around and just scream, "I don't like this." You need to go, "I don't like." Like, a small example. Per example, maybe, but an example nonetheless. I did my 10-minute Facebook video the other day, giving off about Facebook, and presented 4 solutions at the end of it.
It's a very simple thing. Politicians could take a leaf out of your book.
And there were real solutions. They're like, go and sign up to the mailing list, go and do the thing. Everything that they do, their 7 steps and all that stuff, is all come out. It's all been nonsense. So, like, first of all, you're dealing. We know about the history of unionism and how it's always been used by the British state to carry and all that. We know all that. But if we're to go forward on this island, and I have my own opinions, and I'm not going to share them on this, but whether we stay 2 countries or unite or whatever, we're still here together.
That's what I'm saying. There's 1 million people, you know, there's people that have to live side by side.
These people have to present the solutions from within their own community, and they have to be based in reality. There's none of that. No. And you can see them using each other up. Jamie Bryson is friends with Jim Allister, and then they fight with each other, and then they fall out, and then they go in there, and they're now mates with the DUP. And the DUP,
I can't give up on Bryson. Who he's with these days, I don't know. He's moving around the whole lot of them. I was like, just get back in your wheelie bin and fucking. It's you know, and I can only assume that the likes of Sinn Féin are just sitting back eating popcorn, just watching it all fall apart, because that's what it feels like.
Sure, Sinn Féin said that. They said that they can't believe the Sinn Féin were almost bounced into the position of back in the protocol. And they're like, we can't believe we've got this. It's a win-win for us.
Never, like, in my lifetime, this is the thing, and this is why I say, you know, I have a lot of Protestant friends, and I work with a lot of people, and I talk different things, and I talk to unionists. I don't know too many out-and-out loyalists, but a lot of unionists. And I'm saying to them, I was like 2-3 years ago, maybe it was, and I said, do you understand that the Taoiseach just said they're going to put a border in the Irish Sea? And he went, aye. And I was like, play that again in your head. You have a Taoiseach in Dublin saying this, and you're going, aye. And I'm like, I don't think you are being told the full fucking thing here.
It's unreal.
It's so mad. It's so crazy.
The lack of... See, the thing that's so exasperating, unionism was gifted the win with the protocol, with Brexit. Yeah. So they backed Brexit. First of all, they shouldn't have, but they did. Yeah. So they backed Brexit, and then everybody bent themselves into a pretzel to accommodate them, and they come up with the Northern Ireland Protocol. Mm-hmm. The Northern Ireland Protocol was, whenever I seen it, I couldn't believe it.
It was great for us.
This example of Northern Ireland was going to be a fulcrum, the fulcrum between the United States and Europe and the UK and the United States, and all the way, any which way you like. And in the middle of it was going to be Northern Ireland, sitting there, and we've got an undereducated population, or overeducated, underpaid population with a great infrastructure and access to all these markets. If you needed a bigger example of a win-win situation, what unionism could have done, even after the back Brexit, but let's say that they don't change their Brexit strategy, they still back it, they still go and cling to every fucking wingnut in British politics, and let's say they still do that, but then the Northern Ireland Protocol is presented. That was a gift to them. There you go. So what they say is, we're going to make Northern Ireland work, and Northern Ireland's working within the union. And there's our call for unionism. It was there for them.
I mean, to me, I thought it was a great out, if you want to call it that. I thought
exactly what it was.
it was a great out for everybody, and it opened up, like you said, you just nailed it there with the amount of links that was going to be possible. And I don't know. I've like I say, I've had this conversation. I mean, is it this fear of not being in control? And even though unionism isn't in control, is it the history of that they were in control that they can't let go of?
Again, well, it's back to when do you start the clock?
Yeah,
you got to start the clock. What was unionism? What was Northern Ireland set up for? And it was set up for very horrible reasons for a particular portion of the population. But that mindset is clear, and you can see it in their outreach, which doesn't exist, and in their outward expression of themselves. It still has that old world at its heart.
And I used to do a bit of stand up with this, going, one half of us wants to be controlled by Dublin, and the other half wants to be controlled by London. Does anybody want to just control ourselves?
That's me. I'm coming down more on the anarchist side of things. I'm sort of coming from the anarchist. I'm moving into the libertarian anarchist socialist wing of,
But then somebody said to me, well, and I'm well aware. I'm a nationalist, and I'm proud of it, and I don't hide from it. But I do believe that there would never be such a thing as a united Ireland. There could be one Ireland.
Yeah.
But we'll always be the Nordies. We'll always be the Nordies. No matter what happens or how far we go down in the future, we'll always be. And but we would be treated the same if you talk to people in Donegal.
Exactly. If you turn out, so the people of we're the Nordies. We've always been Nordies. Yeah. We know that. We do have historically close links to Scotland because of the geographic position to the north, which is fair enough too, and that's great. But is someone from Kerry the same as someone from Louth? Is someone from Louth the same as someone from Mayo? No, they're not. Yeah. They're completely different.
They're different, but what I'm talking about more is the governance end of things. So Dublin don't give a fuck about Donegal, right?
Clearly.
And that's the fear we would, if we were to go this, that we would just be left behind like Donegal is, and ignored. And that's why somebody had come up with a federal kind of solution of a one Ireland.
Yeah.
The 4 provinces.
Yeah.
That a federal solution will come into play when it's something that affects all 4, but that each province, Ulster, Munster, would all have their own.
Well, that's
devolved sort of governance.
Those are the conversations that are being had in places with like Ireland's Future organisation.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough when they did their thing at the Ulster Hall, I got asked to go and play some music in between speakers.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
And it was great. I loved it. It was a real treat for me. I haven't been nervous at a gig in years, and that was And my cousin Laura,
because it's not your crowd.
No. They were very polite and all, but I'm sure it was average at best on my part. But they were good middle class people, and, but they're having those conversations.
Yeah.
What is the new Ireland going to look like?
Yes.
Now, they're very much coming from a middle class establishment capitalist perspective.
Yeah.
I guess most of them would probably be that professorial types and things like that. But nonetheless, it's a conversation that's being had. It's been had at a good level, and everything's on the table.
Well, I was going to say everything can be discussed. As long as it's done appropriately and have a conversation like this today, without disparaging any one side or other, it's just like, what would it look like? And here's the other thing.
Except for Jimmy Bryson.
Well, apart from Jimmy, we can slag him. That's all right. That's grand. But apart from this is the thing of the unknown.
Yeah.
What could it look like? And I suppose it's kind of like you starting off an album. You're starting from scratch. You have a blank canvas. What could this look like?
But that's the point. But that's the point, Connor. Yeah. The idea of for me, I see myself I would like to see United Ireland in my time for sure, but this is a great opportunity. Think about this. What country that you can think of has had an opportunity to redesign itself from the ground up? Yeah. That is a great opportunity. Absolutely. It's also scary. It could go fucking disastrously wrong, especially when you consider the housing crisis in the south and things like that. They can't even build enough houses for their kids. Breaking my heart watching kids leaving.
Oh man,
I don't want to go to Australia.
Yeah,
I want to come home and live here. and they can't do it. It's heartbreaking.
But that brain drain's been going on now for 15, 20 years. Like it's brutal.
Going on for centuries.
And it's
for God's sake.
but it's getting really bad now.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
like we've such a high level of education. We spend such money on it and the infrastructure, and we get them to the point where they're graduating and everything. Boom,
But
gone.
that's a
Away
failure.
they
That's
go.
a failure of the
on us.
system.
Like,
That's
yeah,
a failure
absolutely.
of the system where you can look after the young, not look after, but provide the young people with all the tools they need up until the point where they're going to
Where you need them the most to stay here with their
to
economy.
stay here
yeah,
and
absolutely.
earn their, generate income for the economy. Sure, even all the big tech firms that move to Ireland, they've nowhere to house them.
No.
They're pulling in people from Silicon Valley and all across America, and they're landing in Dublin, and they're going, where the fuck are we going to live?
Yeah, no places to go, and the price of it. I was talking to somebody last night who told me that she lives in Dublin and had to park her car in Meath at her parents' house
Oh my God.
because there are people in Dublin paying £1,000 a month for a parking space.
Mm-hmm.
A fucking parking space. And she was like, "That's more of my rent." And I was like, "That is mental."
I know people that
That
earn
can't
less
go
than
on.
that.
That's
A parking
unbelievable.
space is making more than you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So then you hear that side of thing, right? And then you think, fuck, would I want to join there?
Aye.
You're like, I'm sort of liking this wee thing we have up here. And then I have like I'm sure most people in this country, you go back and forth and you weigh up things and you think this and the other. And you hear all the arguments, as we always hear, all 800 years. And as you say, when does the clock go back, and all that sort of stuff. But like people saying, "Oh, we're one island, we should be one." I was like, well, Scotland, England, Wales is one island.
Yeah.
Does that mean they should all come to one country?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
And I know it opens up a can of worms and stuff, but it should be opened. Those can of worms should be opened.
Yeah.
Because we're 25 years past violence now at this stage, so we should be able to have a conversation without the fucking thing turning into a row.
People are having the conversation.
Yeah.
There is.
And that's what I love. I love that thing in Ulster Hall they're doing, and I love what the Fela were doing.
Yeah.
And trying to do the outreach stuff and trying to get because there is a thing. My day job, I work in the community voluntary sector, and I've been involved in European peace funding now for Peace 3, Peace 4, and now Peace Plus. Do you know why it's called Peace Plus?
No.
Because it was too embarrassing to say we needed 5 tranches of money to get peace. That's my opinion, by the way.
Yeah.
So we got the Peace 4 and we went, we can't call it Peace 5. I call it Peace Plus. So it's Peace Plus.
Peace plus one.
But it's like fucking 400 million coming in or whatever. But that's I've been watching that, and one of the biggest problems we had in Peace 3, Peace 4, and now Peace Plus is the PUL community participation. And I've asked and challenged elected reps from the unionist community and said, listen, is there something we can do to get more people to come along? Some of these things, they're not fucking taxing. Like some of these are day trips out for sporting events. There's all funded activities for young people. And you just cannot get that community to come forward to integrate, on a proper level.
And that's a problem for us all, but most of all, it's a problem for the PUL community.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Is it something, man? I've talked about this before to people and saying, they're very insular, but it's not like we don't want to deal with you. It's just like we've got so much of our own thing to deal with. Whether it's the Orange Order or whether it's marching or whether it's the sports or whatever, we've got our own thing.
Yeah.
And we just find it very difficult because peace, for instance, this is the way they work. You have to have a percentage of cross community. Mm-hmm. So they'll give you numbers. If your project says we're going to work with 200, they'll say we want 120 Catholic, 80, whatever the case may be. So you're working on targets then, and then you can't get targets because you can't physically drag somebody into an event that they don't want to come to.
Yeah.
But then there's a bigger, wider picture. Why do they not want to come?
Yeah.
And so that is ongoing in the background. It has been going since peace was 2009 was the last I did.
It's one of those things as well. For me, it was always something that sort of it always put my hackles up. I don't see that community and this community. I don't like that.
No,
I don't like that as a concept.
Yeah.
That community in this case, we're a community, and we can be as rainbow colored and very different within it, but we're a community. And as I said, it is a problem for us all whenever the loyalists in particular won't engage. But ultimately it's going to be a bigger problem for them in the long run.
In the long run, when they don't engage,
it's going to be a burden to us all, but it's their problem, and they need to, that's what I'm saying. You need to present, if the best you can spew up as a leader is Jimmy fucking Price.
No, you're done. Like, yeah,
You're
forget
fucked.
about it. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you hear about
The
him?
future is not bright or orange.
Did you hear him about him with Donegal Football Club? He went and represented Donegal Football Club against the Irish FA. I can't remember what the thing was.
Oh, I do remember. Yes,
He's signing players and they shouldn't have been or something like that. There, and
was the judge had to go?
No, the Irish FA threw up a Queen's Council. Fucking crucified him. He ended up. He fined Donegal Football Club £20,000.
Holy fuck!
You bankrupted them.
Jesus Christ! No, I mean, just today actually, I had a conversation with somebody this morning about we're dealing with community planning and thinking about community in the future, and somebody said something about, well, we have to make sure it's cross community, and I have been trying now for about 10 years to say to people, we need to get rid of the phrase cross community and talk about cross communities. Because we have been brought up to believe cross community means Catholic Protestant.
Yeah,
There's just two.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's cross communities. Because you bring in travellers, you bring in ethnic minority people from other countries, you bring in LGBT. There's a whole race of stuff that's not just, let's make a cross community. Let's make a Catholic and Protestant sit together in a bus before they go to sport. And then that's a job done.
Yeah.
It's not. So it's a mindset problem too. We're trying to get, even the people, the powers that be in councils or whatever, trying to get their minds to change around. That there are other communities here that you need to get out of that trench of the green and orange.
But that's good too, because whenever if you were to talk, I mean, if you were to talk to my kids about if you presented the world as that binary, it would confuse the shit out of them. They go, what? I don't, because they weren't brought up.
They don't see that. No.
They don't see the world as being that binary. They actually, I would go so far as they don't see it as, as far as we're concerned here in Ireland, they see it as us. That's it. We're people. Yeah. It doesn't matter what color you are or what your sexuality is or your political choice. We're all. That's the way they see the world.
Yeah.
And there's more and more young people, I would say, even if they come through the GAA, even if they come through, they're still doing other things that aren't to do with the GAA. It's about
And I mean, there's, Jesus, we could talk all day about the fucking problems here, but I mean, like, there's so many things that the young people now totally don't need that we think they do.
Yeah.
We think they need education on treating somebody. They don't.
Yeah.
They fucking know more than we do in regards to, because of the TikToks and all this sort of, the information's there.
Yeah.
So they're actually taking in more information, and they're probably more aware of difference and have more of a tolerance than their elders have. You know what I mean?
Completely.
So there's probably a lot we could learn from the young people in that sense.
Yeah.
But you still get them wee changes. There's still things, especially rural areas now, I'm talking about your own, like you still get them sort of factions of, and I always bring it back to the school system. I think it never will genuinely heal itself until we figure that out. When you still, and I always say to people, forget about it being Catholic or Protestant. Imagine it was black and white.
You wouldn't
segregate. Would you allow it to happen? Would you allow it to happen in your world at this moment in time? You wouldn't. So why would you allow it that way? And there's still people, unfortunately, have to bring in the skin color thing before they actually look at, because they don't see sectarianism, because it's just ingrained in us all. Until you bring it up as changing the racism, they go, oh, all right, enough. Why do we do that? Why do we? Why would you?
It's a good wee illustration, like,
because in the buses, the rural buses, I don't know if you know this, but the rural buses are all segregated.
Oh yeah.
So when you walk in, I didn't know it. My daughter, her best friend went to the Protestant school, and she went to Catholic school. And then when they got on the bus to go down like a mile and a half to the house, she had to go upstairs, she had to go downstairs.
Oh, the actual
bus is segregated.
No way.
And it's not official. It's not like anybody saying, oh, but it's just a case of your place. And then it follows. And somebody said to me recently that it was like that in the 60s when they were going to school. And I said, well, it hasn't changed, because the first years that come in are learning from the 7th years.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's just a continuous thing as it went on and on and on. And then the pandemic hit.
That's mad.
And now the first years and all didn't have that being told to them, and there is a wee bit of mixing happening now because of the pandemic, because it broke the chain of this is what we do, this is where we sit, this is where you sit. And my daughter was like first year at the time, she couldn't figure it out, like, why do I have to go upstairs and I have to leave Jodie? It was so mad, like
that is mad.
And then you go and speak to like of the education authority, or you speak to the council, or you speak to housing side or whatever, and they have no idea this happens. And I was like, well, I knew it happened, I just didn't know it still happened. But they had no idea what was going on. So Oma is a good example, because they were going to build this new shared campus. So Oma, there's 150 million, whatever it is, shared campus where all the schools are coming into the one site.
I've done the same in Lurgan.
So this was going to be a custom, brand new built shared campus. So all the schools, 5 of the secondary schools, are all coming together, cross denominations, sharing resources, sharing pitches, sharing music hall, whatever, all that sort of stuff. And it's been put on the back burner, obviously, because money and all that sort of stuff. But when we were sitting at the planning, right, all this money, 150, whatever it is, million, I said to them, what are you going to do with the buses? I'm like, oh, it's great. All the buses come to the campus, and then they all leave together from the campus, and we're going to have bus lane. I was like, oh, what about the segregation? The buses now? What segregation? They
Really?
hadn't a clue. They didn't know it existed, and you could see all the Belfast ones, because in Belfast it's not like that.
Aye.
It's just the rural areas that's done that. So then they were all like, we didn't. And then the next meeting afterwards, I said, did you find out about it? Aye, we did. I said, it's real, isn't it? They were like, really real. And I was like, told you, it's mad. Like, and that still happens to this day because everybody's based in a uniform. So the good thing about the shared campus, what they were talking about was everybody would wear the same uniform, but your individual school would have a different tie. So it wasn't such a standalone going, that's Catholic one. You know, you'd have to really look if you wanted to find out, you know, where they were. And I love that idea because, you know, ultimately we're labelled even just by the clothes we wear if you're at school. But yeah, they had no idea that's what's happening. That's
bizarre.
And it still goes on, but it has kind of broke a wee bit. Another younger cousin I have who was on the bus, and she was saying that, you know, you're starting to see it changing because there was that 2-year gap or whatever, nobody was on buses. And then when it came in, it just was a free-for-all. There was nothing being taught on, like a cultural tradition being passed or whatever. I don't know. It was so bizarre, so strange. You've got all this progressive and let's all work together, let's all do this thing. And then you get onto the school buses where it's the most important and they're segregated.
That's mad.
And somebody said to me, I don't think that's true. I says, next time you're available, we'll meet at the bus depot and we'll stand and watch the buses go out. And sure as fuck, you can watch, because the uniforms are quite distinctive, which one's the top, which one's the bottom. You can see it like as they drive out. I don't know, it's so crazy. Like, that's wild. That's so wild. You know, and then so they have that to deal with, but they still understand that they still put up with it, but they know it's not right.
Yeah.
But it's also all they know.
Yeah.
So it just kind of goes on. So hopefully this has broken the cycle a wee bit, that it changes, you know.
That's a mad one.
Isn't it? It's so fucking crazy, because then that's, you know, that's your whole school life is based on, like, and then you're, like, some of these kids are going to an integrated school.
Yeah.
So I would say, where does integrated ones go? And he goes, oh, sometimes they have to go to the back. I don't know. I don't know. Back at the top, back at the bottom. I don't know. That's so crazy, like, so mad. But yeah, so this is a quite a unique place, and I kind of love it about this place, to be honest. Not the segregation, but I love the quirkiness of it all, and the post-conflict society still trying to figure out its place in this sort of world. Well, but then me and Mickey talk about this all the time. I always say we have the best systems in place. So our election is as secure as can be. It's the most secure in the UK because we've had photo ID for 20 odd years. UK or England elections just had it this year for the first time. We've had that. We've figured out, you know, in regards to power sharing. We've done all that. So we are so far advanced.
Yeah,
it's because of terrible shit. It's because of the trouble. It's because of death and destruction.
Yeah,
but we've come to the other side with really good systems in place to make sure. Like Section 75, people let it roll off their tongue, but it's in writing, in law now. You cannot discriminate. Like, and that was a fucking massive thing for us. I don't think England actually has that in writing.
Yeah, you
know, and we have these things in place now that protects people's rights to be, whether it's sexual orientation or age or being a carer or whatever. That's in law now, and it's been used as an example across the world. This is what you should be doing, but we don't take stock of it. We sort of just go, that's what we do.
Yeah,
you're like, no, we fucking do this well, and we do it really well. We just don't give ourselves any credit.
But I think we have, you know, a certain section of our political representatives they're not interested in progression.
No,
and I don't mean that in the modern sense of the word. I mean just progressing at all.
Just moving forward.
They're very happy being stuck in the past. But
are they stuck in the past? Or are they stuck in the fucking wallets? You know, I don't know if it's a past thing. When you see what happened with like Ian Paisley, whatever, and holidays and Maldives trips and all that, I'm like, is it genuinely to benefit themselves or to benefit the community, or is it just themselves? Are they just enriching themselves with, you know, having them sort of?
I don't think there's any benefit
connections
to the community. They don't.
No, I don't see it.
They're not. I mean, I always put it the anybody that goes to Westminster, and not including the SDLP, because I know they are a nationalist party and all the rest of it. But as far as the unionists are concerned, and they seem to be sort of mesmerised by the trappings of the establishment.
Yeah.
And it serves them well to be mesmerised by the trappings of the establishment, because they do very well out of it.
They do.
You know, I know it's not just quite as bad this part of the world as it is in America, but there is a parallel could be drawn. There was an American, I think she was a senator, she's called Dianne Feinstein. She died the other day.
Yeah.
And she left behind her $100 million plus fortune on a civil servant's salary. Now,
do you ever look how much Bernie Sanders is worth?
Well, I know they're all at it.
Yeah,
they're
everyone.
all at it.
Yeah.
You got that great app, the Nancy Pelosi stock trade
Stock
tracker.
trade thing, yeah, it's unreal.
Her husband outperforms the entirety of the best hedge funds on Wall Street. You know,
you wonder how they might have inside info.
Yeah, but it's the same with this mob here. Now, it's not, the numbers are obviously elevated because it's America.
Yeah,
because everyone has to be bigger in America. But the point is still the same.
Yeah,
you know. I don't know what an MP makes these days. Something about 80,000, something like that. 84,000 or something. Don't get me wrong, that's a good salary, but you're never going to be a millionaire on that.
No,
you shouldn't be, but they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
lots of them are getting close to it and doing very well, living very comfortable lives. You know,
I'm a big fan of paying a politician £1 million a year.
Go on then.
So they can't be bought, they can't be influenced, and I would want it to be term limited. You'd have 4 years, and almost make it competitive. Make you as an individual want to make your 4 years the best 4 years ever happened, and that the next person coming along has to try and outdo what you did. Do you know? Instead of these career politicians there for 35 fucking years and do nothing. Maybe not £1 million for a politician. Maybe £1 million for prime minister. Maybe
it's a fair point. It's obviously it's a stab at fixing an awful problem, a serious problem. The big problem is lobbying.
Yeah, well,
you get rid of the lobbying, and you know you look at what politicians have not resigned for in the past 10 years. Boris Johnson should have.
He should be here all day long. Have we got enough?
He should have shot himself if he was a decent man. If he was around in the 60s, he would have shot himself over a glass of brandy in his library. do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But here's the thing, Andy. My job is lobbying. That's my job. That's what I do. I'm a lobbyist in that sense.
Yeah.
But not financially.
Yeah.
So we lobby politicians. Take the most recent thing, long-term care residential for people with learning difficulties. There is none in the north. And our job is to lobby politicians about that. But lobbying is one thing, but it's what you're talking about, the lobbying is, listen, we think we need to do this. Here's
some money.
Something.
Yeah.
You know, when lobbyists like ourselves go in, we have an agenda, and it is an agenda, and it may be a physical building or maybe a pot of funding needing, but it's never a bribe taken.
No.
Here's the thing: they don't do it in bribes anymore. They don't do it. They're too smart. There's no brown envelopes the way they used to call it. What you'll find like the Feinsteins or John Kerry or them ones. You'll find their children. Yeah. All of a sudden get really high grade jobs in these big corporate Hunter. Yeah. They get these jobs in there, and so there's never a bribe, because it couldn't be done as a bribe, but they get these jobs, and then it's
they do it in the UK as well. I can't remember the name of the politician, but he was a Labour guy, and he's maybe it was Burnham or someone like it. Wasn't him, but it was somebody fairly high profile. And establishment Labour, so he's a creep anyway. But he had, there was an investigation, and he was named as having taken money from some corporation and it goes into like a fund for him, not for him to actually. But I'm going, what is it for? What is this fund for? Yeah. Because the British system is the same as the American. You don't need to raise millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds in order to run for re-election. Everything is there's a small window of 8 weeks campaign allowed. It's all, you're only allowed to spend a certain amount of money, and if you're one of the big parties, it's funded anyway or to a point, etc., etc. Why is this guy got £300,000 sitting in some fucking bank account with his name on it?
Well, and here's the other thing. There's one of the best examples of what the difference between that type of politics and on the ground politics.
Yeah.
So our local council, and every council around the north will have adopted this recently, but your local trust will do it in housing. So if there's a meeting on, they have now made it that the number one item on every agenda is conflict of interest.
Oh.
So you have to declare you have a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Whether it's you personally are gaining from it, family are gaining from it, or whatever the case may be, you have to declare if a topic is coming up. Where's the conflict of interest declaration for all these fuckers?
Well,
They have to declare. Oh, by the way, if I'm involved in this discussion, I might financially benefit from this.
You know, the problem is there's not enough on the ground decision making.
Yeah,
For me, that's what the problem lies. These people, so they're getting. You turn around as a local person, you go, we need that pothole fixed, right? Before that pothole gets fixed, that'll end up going through some industry lobby group to decide whether, and then that goes to the MP, and then that'll come down to the thing, and then that's the, instead of the local people going, we just need the fucking thing fixed. Can we just fix the thing? Stop this nonsense. It doesn't need to go all the way up to come all the way back down again. We can do this now, here, today. Can we get the thing fixed? No, we have to go through this process. Yeah. And you go, well, why do you go through the process? Why? Because it's how we get around corruption. No, it's not.
Listen, we could talk all day about it. I'm conscious of time, and I'm conscious of your time. We're going to waste it.
Worry.
I haven't even got into the fucking stuff I want to talk about. Was the music? And I knew the politics was going to take over somewhere along the line.
I know.
Right, back to the music, back to the guitar, because cool. I love watching you play guitar. I'm mesmerised. Nev, by the way, is also a performer here. Nev plays in a band, Cool Hand String Band,
nice.
Bluegrass band.
Oh, nice.
And so he will know the crack too about asking questions about guitar playing. I mean, who would be? I've heard you talk about Robert Johnson before. Mm-hmm. Is he the biggest influence you have on guitar?
Guitar playing, probably not. But as you know, he was there was a couple of moments in my life that were, earth-shattering with music, and discovering Robert Johnson when I was like 16. Wow. And actually in a book, because I was brought up good Catholic, you see, and I was still going to mass, and I got this book out of the library. I was away working in England at 16. And I went to the library and I got a book, Blues and Soul Legends, and there was a wee page and a photograph. It was like a penguin book almost,
right?
But not. So, and it was Aretha Franklin, a picture of her, and then a story, and I got all the way down, and Robert Johnson, and it told you the story about him selling his soul to the devil, and I'm a Catholic, 16-year-old going to mass, and I was like, that's to me that was just
mind blowing. Just
wow. So then a wee bit more, I went and got the music, and I heard his music, and I can honestly say that I didn't know if I liked it because it was so foreign to me. Even the quality of the recording being the old crackly. They've all been remastered nowadays, and the recordings that they have out now are unreal good. Right. They're really good. So if you're going to go and get a Robert Johnson recording, don't get an old one, get a new one.
Right.
Because they've been all cleaned up. They're beautiful. Wow. But they were really, really crackly, and even the structure of the songs were foreign to me. I was like, I don't understand this. But something,
what a journey to discovery,
something went into me, and it and the way I got through it was actually listen to other people recording his songs. So I listened to like Eric Clapton and Cream and all that, and Hendrix, and that, and you go, written by R. Johnson. You go, that, and you make the connection, and you hear them do Me and the Devil Blues, and then you hear him do Me and the Devil Blues, and then you're able to just process it that way.
What today? I mean, is there a guitar player you watch today? Do you think, fuck?
Today, not really. I mean, Queens of Stone Age, Josh Homme. Yeah. I love his style. I'm not keen on the new album. They would be my favorite band. But
listen a bit of that.
I'm gonna go for it. I'll buy it anyway, of course, and I'll listen to it to death. But
he's a sexy man. Now. He's a talented boy.
He's too good.
I think they're playing here soon, November time.
Well, I tell you how disappointed I was with the album. My daughter Summer says to me, "Do you want to go and see you want to go to a big gig concert?" I said, "Aye." I says, "You choose." She says, "Okay." So she come back and said, "Queens of the Stone Age or the Hives," and I chose the Hives.
I would have to say I would go to Hives too. Yep. You're going to Queens of the Stone
Age. Well, I would. That's actually
that's a good choice between.
It's how disappointed I am in the new album that I went, because Queens of the Stone Age is my favorite band.
Because I thought he kind of went it's kind of went like almost a homie sort of solo thing now, as opposed to, because the influences of the rest of them aren't really as prevalent as they would have been.
You know, whenever when you're making music, you know this now, you will too, obviously, with the band and stuff, it's good to have someone to tell you no.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I have a few of them in our band.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you have a 10-piece, you have a couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a 2-piece, you're all right.
Well,
Really,
that's,
Chris.
but I have a clear definition of what it is, of our limitations. But I think with him, there's no one there to go, yeah, really? We were on tour and we had the album. I said, do you want new Queen's albums out today? We'll stick it on the van, listen to it while we're traveling. Oh, yeah. Chris is a big fan as well. And we were listening to these, and I'm going, I can't hear the melody. I don't know what I'm listening to.
I thought the very same.
There's no hook. There's no melody here. It's very technically, it's going off on great. But where's the fucking hook? And if you can't do it, then it's fair enough. But he can.
He absolutely can. Yeah, I just don't know. Yeah, and we could talk about other, like Artie Monkey's another example of people just. Off, and I blame Homie for that.
Yeah.
The monkeys were grand, and then he came on.
Exactly.
Got made them all dark. So I mean, so the music scene. I'm conscious of time. We're going to finish up now. I'm going to ask you a few questions. We've got questions coming from our patrons, so we're going to fire through them. So thank you to everybody who sent in a question. If you've never sent one in before, please do send us some more. We're always delighted to hear from you. And of course, we do love our regulars too. Just no one when anybody get upset. You know yourself. Sure.
Be careful these days.
Jesus. Right, so let me see. We'll start off with the start. Okay, lads, nothing like a pair of performers to help me with this one. There we are. We had a Kaylee for my birthday at the weekend, and it was complete chaos, but in the good way. Do you ever get the horrors after performance or cringe the next day at the flat notes or videos that pop up to haunt you?
Yeah.
100%.
I tell you,
I like playing. I always say to the band, I like when we start about 10:30, 11. Because people are drunk enough to not notice. But the video was never fucking lie.
I tell you one of the things. What you talk about guitar heroes and stuff. R.L. Burnside is my other guy. His early albums were put together from tape recordings that he would make in a hotel room. Right. So a little cassette recorder, and he would press recordings in the 70s and the 80s, and he would be playing. And Jesus, talk about technical.
Right.
Just unreal. Just him on his own singing Northern Mississippi Blues. And he made those recordings to listen to himself, to make himself better.
Right.
And they happened to be salvaged, and then they ended up on albums 30 years after the fact, even more, right? So it's one of the things I think we should all do as musicians. We should listen to ourselves more.
Yeah.
Even when we're rehearsing, even when we're practicing, just sitting with a guitar and singing, you as a singer, as a performer, just how am I going to be better? What did I not like? How do I fix that?
Yeah.
And I don't do it. We don't do it anywhere near enough. But because we have this thing, we don't want to hear ourselves as cringe, but you got to go at it from a technical perspective. Yeah. I got to hear myself so I can be better.
Do you know the thing is, I do that with stand-up.
Well,
I record every single set.
And you listen to everything?
And I have to listen to it. Now, it took me a while to get used to my voice because it's talking and I fucking hated the sound of my voice. But there's times where I think of stuff off the cuff on stage, or I've riffed on something and I will forget when I come off stage. So if I have it recorded, like last night it happened, I was dealing with crowd work and I was like, fuck, thank God I videoed that because I know now I have that caught, I can work on that. And I know what to do there, but I don't do it with music. And as you say, I probably should. But I do it with stand-up all the time. I don't know which comedian gave it to me as advice maybe 10 years ago and said, record every set because you never know. And
what do you just set your phone?
Just set my phone anywhere, or sometimes in my pocket. Yeah. Just to hear, because sometimes it's just, it's not about quality, or it's not going to be shared anywhere. No. It's just for that wee insight into, or sometimes it happens, and then listen back to that to see what the fuck went wrong. You know, when you hear a joke didn't land, and then you listen back and you go, because I put that word before that word. Yeah, that's amazing how a word is. You know, a rhythm of the lyrics, surely, or whatever. Yeah, it can throw the rhythm of the whole delivery, and that's just mad. So I do that, but I'd never thought about it for doing for music. To be honest with you, it's just because I'm the same as yourself. I would find these videos the next day or the family. I'm like, oh fuck.
Do you know one of the wee things is I'm recording an album at the minute. I'm recording this song I'm doing at the minute, right? It's called The Flamingos of Love, which is why I'm wearing this wee thing.
I love it.
So it's this big sort of 6-minute thing. But anyway, So it goes all big and all spacey, you know, and all cinematic-y, and all goes on, and then it just drops right down to me on an acoustic guitar, close mic'd, singing this song, and then it builds up a wee bit towards the end. And this is a problem for me. I can't record the same performance twice. I can do it once well, and then I can do it another time well. But this bit would be as good as that. Why can I not do it? Now, that's a problem. I should be able to do exactly the same. No, that's not to say you want to just lock in straight away and then not, no flexibility. Yeah. It's not that. I've got a good recording of me doing that song, but there's something wrong at the end. I missed a thing at the end, so I needed to do it again. But I haven't been able to do it right since.
I've said this, and I don't know what it is. I blamed it on weed, but you don't folks smoke weed, so you can't blame it on that. The same thing happens to me with stand-up. I have never done my bits the same way. And I don't know why.
And in stand-up, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's a bad thing, I think. Right. The chunks of it will be right. And I think it's down to memory for me. Sometimes I get things wrong, or I put in the wrong order or something like that. But I can never get it to be like a TV show when somebody went to do that line again. I would never be able to do it the same way.
Right.
I just don't know why. I don't know where that comes from. So I'm glad to hear somebody else suffers that same problem. Yeah. That's good to know, actually. Yeah. Right. Thank you for that. That was Leisha, one of our regulars. Right. Next up, any costume ideas for the Woodville Halloween party that'll either guarantee a win in the competition or guarantee to insult Mickey?
Insult Mickey? That'll take a long. I don't know how that's wouldn't be possible. Well, last year the winners were two girls and a guy that came as the witches from, what do you call that one? What? Hocus Pocus. The very one. Yeah, and they came direct. But the lead witch was Michael, who is our big gay friend. Deadly. And he's just a big, massive camp. Lovely, sweet person. And they've been planning their costume for. So I would say go with something that's
something like that. And what date's this on? This is
the 20th of October.
20th of October.
20th of October. Tickets available on Eventbrite or behind the bar at the Woodville.
And I'm nearly sure this question was sent on by you, just so we make sure we get that plug there, was it?
No, it wasn't me. No.
Are you sure?
It was 100%, yeah.
Right, so the Woodville, you should play, obviously.
Yes, us and Mickey is obviously doing. He's going to be compare.
Hoping to be there.
You're hoping to be there.
Yep. Yeah, that'll be.
And Aqua Tofana, a young band called Aqua Tofana.
Mighty. Right. Okay, what in your opinion is the greatest song lyric or verse to ever exist? One of my favorites is from Zach Bryan. The lyric is, "A cold shoulder, a closing time. You were begging me to stay till the sun rose. Strange words come on out of a grown man's mouth when his mind's broke."
Oh.
I like that. That's lovely.
Somebody's got access to the internet. Come up with that. I wouldn't be able to. One of my favorite album titles, and it's a lyric in the song, is from a band called the Immortal Lee County Killers. You wouldn't know who they are, but they were a big influence on me starting the Bonnevilles. But the lyric is "These bones will rise again to love you."
Maybe. You fucking one of your lyrics, "Whiskey Lingers." Very first time I heard it, that opening line, I was like, "What the fuck is this? This is mighty." Because it, number one, it's my motto for life. But
and it does.
But also the rhythm and the I was like, this isn't good. Like, it doesn't stick to a time signature. It doesn't, you know what I mean? And I was like, this is fucking brilliant. So
it crosses over. I think it's a 4/4 on the lyric, but it's a 4/3 or 4 something else on the red. It doesn't. But it crosses over.
But it matches then.
It meets up at the end.
Oh, I know. That's fucking mighty. So the line is, "Whiskey lingers. I never needed to be skinny anyway. I always needed to be ready for a fight."
Yeah.
Like it's fucking written for me. Like, I was like, this is my song. I do love lyrics. I love. I've some random weird taste in music too. But I think Nick Cave writes some beautiful stuff in lyrics. Like,
whenever you get a good lyric, it really nails you, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
I tell you who I was listening to. I was at a gig the other night. Source George Hutton. He has an album launch in the OES Centre. My daughter Summer was playing bass for him.
Maybe.
And so Joseph Toman was playing keys. Joseph's my cousin as well.
Right.
And Joseph's an adorable young man. But he did the support. So he went up and did half an hour before the band came on. See the fucking lyrics.
All right.
The talent on display, voice,
Maybe.
playing keys, and then he would go and play the acoustic guitar, and a stage presence, and he's just a sweet, sweet young man.
Maybe.
But see the fucking lyrics, that he shivers down my spine. I was like,
And what was his name?
Joseph Toman.
Joseph Toman. And is he on SoundCloud and all that sort of things, or is he?
No,
does he do it that sort of thing? No.
Is just he's in the process of recording his.
Maybe.
But he's that laissez-faire and
I know.
likable. He'll probably. I don't know if he'll ever see the light of day. I don't know. You know.
Yeah, I think everybody knows something. I have a friend
Yeah.
like that who thankfully recently released 3 songs on Spotify out of nowhere, completely out of the fucking blue. I haven't heard him do anything in 20 odd years, and these 3 songs, and they're fucking amazing tunes.
Yeah.
And and of course he couldn't even use his real name. So go and listen to Quint Thomas.
Quint.
Quint
As
Thomas,
in from the
as in
Jaws?
from Jaws. Right? And
Love it.
but the music's fucking amazing. His voice is great, and it's so great to see somebody you know and somebody you're friends with that's producing stuff and getting it out there. Especially when you, like, I've been a champion of his for a long time. Going, why you not do more?
Yeah.
You know, just as you say, laissez-faire. Just like,
Yeah.
mate.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a waste of fucking talent. Why you
Yeah.
not getting it out? So when it happens, you're like, yes.
Yeah.
And then of course it couldn't even be his own name. I was like, fucking typical. It had to be like a stage name and all. But
Oh
anyway,
my God.
So go and check out Quint Thomas. You'll
Quint
love it.
Thomas definitely will.
Right. Hi, Andy. Any chance of the podcast making a comeback? Outside of Deck Chair and Yumz, it was my favourite.
Oh.
Also, what's your favourite film soundtrack? And is there a film you'd love to have done the soundtrack for?
Blade Runner.
Oh,
Blade Runner is easily one of the best soundtracks, but one of the greatest pieces of music of all time.
it's fucking amazing to hear it, though.
So cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, outside of that, you know what I would love to write, like a big John Williams theme tune to Star Trek or Star Wars, or, you know,
Big orchestra,
a
like.
big, like just an earworm
Yeah.
but the talent that those guys have, you can't do it, obviously.
Williams
But
especially. Fuck.
yeah, but yeah, Blade Runner.
Such a shout. I never would have got that. Yeah.
I can listen to the. I used to have back in years and years ago. We had a PC in the house, and this is in the 90s, and we got I think my wife's brother Jay gave me a game, Blade Runner, and you would load this game. You were Deckard running around, whatever, and but just they took all the music and all the hits, all the beats from the movie, and it was actually playing the game after 10 years after watching the movie, realizing just how beautiful the score and the sound design, because the city has a sound in the movie. It's this
That's
weird,
right. It's got a wee hum, yeah.
and you hear wee voices like advertising in the background, and like people saying things over Hanoi systems, and it just dropping in here and there, and it's like, fucking hell, this is something else.
What do they call it? What do they call that? I heard a band describe a soundscape.
Soundscape,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And they created a character of the city in the music and in the sound. It was fantastic.
Maybe.
So the answer to the other part of the question, no, the podcast doesn't come on.
No?
But I'm delighted to hear somebody liked it. That's nice.
And why?
I just don't have the time.
Okay.
I felt like I was sort of half-assing it because I wanted to do so much more with it, but I just didn't have the time to dedicate to it. So unless that changes, no.
You've heard. I would love to see an Andy McGibbon versus a politician podcast.
Well,
just 5 episodes, one from each party.
Well, the only politician I interviewed was Jerry Carroll from People Before Profit, and I forgot to press record. And it didn't go out. It was a complete pause, and I haven't done it since. I was so embarrassed.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Man.
Yeah, and Jerry Carroll is so lovely, and he's so busy.
And you got him.
And I got him, and he gave me a half an hour of his life, and I.
Oh, that'll live with you for a long time, that one. Right. Hi, Andy. What do you think is the best process for coming up with a song, if any? And what do you think of AI taking over? Sorry, also, what do you think of sampling from other artists in the past?
I'm okay with sampling. It was controversial at the time when it first started. People were questioning the artistic integrity involved, but it can help with that. It can help with the process. So I'm okay with sampling as long as people are getting paid.
Yeah,
that gets sampled. That's fine. AI is an issue for all creators, writers especially. artists, like as in media artists, and musicians. I don't think AI can do much worse than a lot of the music that's being put out right now.
True, yeah.
A lot of it is so similar, and obviously it comes out of these songwriting factories out of Nashville and out of LA and London, and they're shit.
Yeah.
And it's like,
But they've been about for fucking decades.
yeah, I don't think AI is going to make it any worse. It just means then that they're not going to have to pay the computer.
Yeah,
but that's what I mean. Ultimately, that's what
yeah.
this is.
That's about money,
the advancement of AI is about removing one more source of revenue from people.
Well, you know, film studios are going to do that now. They're going to use AI to score movies. You know, that's what's going to be the thing. Maybe not the big blockbusters, but a wee B movie is going to get an AI induced. So it saves money on the budget.
Shouldn't be allowed to do it.
Yeah,
it's just as simple as that. But I mean, I don't know. Was there another part to that?
The sampling. Well, what's the best process for coming up with a song, if any?
Oh dear.
The hardest one last.
Yeah. Well, a good thing. Like, so Northern Gothic, the point of that for me was I'd found I'd written myself in a wee bit of a corner with the Bonnevilles. I was struggling to come up with anything really exciting and good. So I decided to put out a solo album, but the process I completely changed. So what I did was, whereas I would go writing songs for the Bonnevilles, I would sit down with a guitar and a lamp or an acoustic even, and a notepad and write out ideas and sing and just go over and over and over. You have to go over and over and over. You don't. For me anyway, I don't know about other people, but I have to repeat 1,000,000 times. Just keep going, and it fills itself in. It just magically, like a jigsaw, pieces start to drop in. And that was with the Bonnevilles. Then I bring that up to Chris, and we would rehearse it, and then we would go and tweak it again, etc. But with the Northern Gothic, I went, no, I'm going to go into my studio. I built the studio specifically to do it in the garden, and I'm not going to write a song. I'm not going to write anything. I'm going to go in and I'm not going to use a guitar. I wanted to use a bass or a synth or a drum kit or come up with a beat or anything and then stitch it together that way. So it was a real challenge. It took a long time, but it got me creatively moving.
Yeah.
And
it's like a labour of love type thing. It was like got the juices going again, like. Yeah.
But you're creative anyway. If you give a musician, what do you play? You play the banjo, you play the guitar, you play the drum kit. If you give them something else, they'll still make something out of it.
Yeah.
So it's that.
Maybe.
And then you having the confidence, I guess, to go, right, I'm gonna, like, I played drums on that album, and the drums are terrible, but I put them out anyway. But I got over the line.
Yeah.
It was good enough just to.
Yeah, to get that's as you say. You want to get it out there, and it lets that creativity out. I mean, I talked about Arrow Pierce Your Heart, third album, which was Arrow Pierce My Heart. Is it My Heart? Your Heart?
Arrow Pierce My Heart. Yeah.
Which then led to Dirty Photographs, which is probably your most, I'm going to say, mature sounding album.
Right.
And I mean that in the best ways, as in the lyrics, but also the sound of it, and then the punchiness of some of the production in it as well. I thought was fucking.
It's Mikey Mormika. Just
Mikey's very good.
Whatever Mikey does is magic, and
sounded amazing. Like, so that's another.
Good.
So and here's the thing. That's not to diss the first two albums, because one of my favorite Bonneville songs is on those albums. But it's just because I first found you on that third album, then I was like, what the fuck, and then I went back and I was like, this is amazing. And so that leads me on nicely to the next question. When's number 5?
Next year,
definitely.
Well, it's been written right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
lovely.
So that's what we're doing right now.
And we will have a wee tour. Yes.
Oh yeah, we're doing a UK tour. I think March. Still being booked. We'll do an Ireland tour, obviously, and we'll Germany. And we're supposed to be going to America, but we need to get that. Organising that's a bit more complicated than here. But yeah.
We want to see an Oma as well sometime.
But anyway.
Or Fentanyl, whatever one you want.
Either suits.
Right. So next one was just totally. Two left. Well, man, what's the weirdest fan interaction you have had?
Oh, weird. There's a lot of weirdos out there, like.
Thankfully, I don't get too many of them. And or me and Mickey don't get too many. I know some of the other boys do get quite a few of them. But
you get some people that overshare and maybe think they know you and stuff like that. And we're very friendly. We all hang around and and we don't run off or anything after a gig, or if we don't have to, like, so we sit around and talk to people and all the rest of it. But you do get some people that are just, space invaders and they don't know to go away.
Yeah. Especially when they're drunk or
high
or whatever.
It's always nice when you get, someone goes, got a tattoo of your lyrics or got a tattoo of your thing. And
do you have many of them? Do many of them be presented to you? Yeah,
few, not millions, but every
that's deadly. What is it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. You always get. I think it's always nice. I would say this for any bands out there that are doing it, that are out working. You don't realize how you're touching people with your stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
And you would maybe think that sometimes you're just screaming into a void and you're not landing. But if you keep going, you do. I found that, people will come up to you and say that my wife was dying when I listened to that, or
mad, yeah.
you have no idea
what's going on
I
in
was
people's
getting a
lives,
divorce and that song helped me, or something horrible was happening in somebody's life or something nice, and that became our family song, or
mad,
that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So you do get that, and you don't hear about it, and just randomly you bump into someone comes to see you at a gig because you came through their town, and they go, I'm going to go.
Maybe.
And if I get a chance, I'm going to tell them.
And that's something so organic about that too, isn't it? It's just that connection that you don't get in social media, to have that human interaction, to meet somebody and things.
Yeah.
And it's, so, I mean, I'm so excited to hear there's another album and another tour. And, because as you can tell, I am a fan. And like, absolute fanboy. The last question is, what's Mickey's new Aussie like? And I don't know what that actually means, but I do know, and I'm not answering it.
That's referencing his girlfriend? Well, everybody will find out soon enough, won't they?
Well, yeah, I think. Well, I mean, it's. I don't even know if they put a label on it.
Okay.
He has a friend who happens to be a female who lives in Australia. So yes, she is Aussie.
She's moving to Lurgan now, for
from Perth to Lurgan.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's Perth she's from anyway. So yes, I don't know what she's like. But well, I've spoke to her a couple of times, and yes, she's very nice. Mickey has this sort of secretive thing going. I'm not going to say anything about being single. I was like, but we're on the podcast. You should talk about it. He was like, no, I don't want to say anything. I was like, okay, that's your life, obviously. Yeah. Turn on fucking ITV.
What?
Secrets of the Comedy Circuit. Mickey's on, and he just announces to everybody, I am single now. I was like, we weren't allowed to talk about it in the podcast, but you went on ITV and just told the whole fucking country.
Oh, get away. Are you serious?
I couldn't believe it. I was sitting watching away. I was like, he fucking told me I wasn't allowed to talk about it in the podcast. And he just went. Because he had a couple of drinks in him, he just told the whole fucking camera crew.
Well, you do know, you do know what you did wrong there, don't you?
Should have gone drunk first.
Yeah,
absolutely. Andy, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming along.
Bother. Lovely.
We normally, every time we have a guest on that fills in for the deck chair, we usually have a chair themed name for them.
Okay.
Now, I've already given you your name.
All right, go on.
Okay, so we've had the chaise lounge, we've had the busted sofa, we've had
yes,
the armchair,
yes, I'm aware.
Throne,
yeah.
So I am officially classing you as the rocking chair.
The rock.
Mainly for the rock, not for the age thing. Don't be getting wrong.
No,
but
no, it sort of lands in different.
That's on many levels.
It's multi-level.
It's been a pleasure. I've loved having you on. Thank you very much for giving up your time. And,
you're welcome, man. Appreciate it.
Let us know. We will plug as much as we can on here because we do have direct line to people, unlike social media and stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
And so if you have new stuff coming out, and especially when Northern Gothic 2 comes out, let us know, and maybe we do a wee album release or something.
Let's do it. Let's
a wee performance or something.
We
could get started. Yeah.
Pencil that in. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, everybody, thank you very much for listening, as always, and spread the word, give us a wee like and review and all the usual old shite. Mickey will be back next week, so fucking prepare yourself, because there's 4 weeks of talking to be done in 45 minutes. And thank you very much, and see you next week. Bye-bye. Also, don't forget, we are live this Sunday night for the Agony Hour here in Fintona. So we will be live via Patreon, and have you come and join us, because Mickey will be releasing his 4 weeks worth of pent up rage. Oh, no, bottle of Jameson, probably. So, yes, Sunday night at, I think it's 8 o'clock we're going to start at. And, yeah, the telephone lines will be open. Give us a call, and we'll talk to you live. Thank you very much.